And it's time for the hot sauce right now. We're talking about as the NFL continues to deal with a major image crisis over its players being charged with domestic violence and child abuse. Consumer product giants are now questioning their relationship with the league. Right now, we're taking a closer look at how some of these companies have chosen to respond in the case with analysis from local advertising experts. We have Jill Fetcher and Jeff Schaefer joining us right now from the SKM Group with your perspective. And I want to start it off with kind of an opening statement. If you were dealing with any of these sponsors on a client basis, if they were your clients, how would you counsel them to react in this case?
Well, I think some of the companies need to put their money where their mouth is. They're saying that they're considering backing out, and then consumers are going to look for them to actually make that decision. Some of them are staying quiet, and I think those ones are playing it safe for right now, which is a good strategy. But others are saying, you know, we might back out, we might not, and people are going to look for them to make that decision. If they're not really ready to make a decision or make any kind of change, then that could backfire in the future.
And Jeff, do you find it interesting that some of these companies are more quick to respond to the public outcry than the league itself?
Yeah, I think so. I think that in some of these cases, the league wants to try to sit back. Obviously, the teams have a vested interest in some of these athletes, especially the ones that are the stars that are going to help you win football games. They want to take as much time as they can before they have to make a decision that's going to either sit somebody down or force them out of some game time, some playing time. So I think that these sponsors want to try to do something quickly to try to say something or take that stance that Jill mentioned.
And it's interesting how they're just coming out and making statements. They're not necessarily pulling their advertising, which we see so many sponsors doing a lot of times in major scandals. We have a graphic just showing some of the companies that have actually come out and made statements in response to this. We're seeing Anheuser-Busch, FedEx, McDonald's, Pepsi, and Visa. We're going to take a closer look right now at specific instances, and we're going to read them, show them on the screen, and then you guys are going to kind of react and say if you thought this was a good move or a bad move. We're going to start right now with Anheuser-Busch, the Budweiser brand. They're the major beer sponsor of the NFL. Here's what they said. They said, "We are disappointed and increasingly concerned by the recent incidents that have overshadowed this NFL season. We are not yet satisfied with the league's handling of behaviors that so clearly go against our own company culture and code. We have shared our concerns and expectations with the league." A lot of people, when they heard about this one, they said, hey, you're an alcohol company and you're the one pointing fingers here. What do you think about that?
Well, I think their statement is kind of generic. It says that they want to do something, but they're not really saying what that is. So I think it's kind of a PR stunt that they're trying to get involved and put their name out there, that they're taking a stance when really it doesn't say what they're going to do about it or how they're going to handle anything.
You mentioned something interesting there, Jeff. Do you think that this is a lot of times when we're seeing sponsors make a statement, it's just to get their name out there?
Well, I think so, but also I think in this case it's probably a good ploy for them from the next round of negotiations. Now they can sit at the table with the NFL and say, hey, that negotiation we just did last time, your league is tarnished now. We don't want to pay as much as we were before. And that's the other part of it. If Anheuser-Busch pulled out completely, there are many other beer companies waiting in line that would just love to have that chance. You know that.
All right, let's take a look at another sponsor that actually did pull out of a commitment with the league. That's Procter & Gamble. The Crest brand pulled out of something that they were going to do for the breast cancer awareness, and they said the brand has decided to cancel their on-field activation with NFL teams. Domestic violence is completely unacceptable, and we have strongly urged the NFL to take swift and decisive action to address this issue. Our decision to cancel on this on-field activity was related to the ongoing issue. Can't get much more clear than that, can you?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely taking action. How much that will be seen by the actual public is, you know, we'll see how that goes in the coming months. But
They still decided to make the monetary donation, though. So
to the cause.
Correct.
Right.
So while they've broken their affiliation with the NFL for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they're still making that monetary gift.
And how do you anticipate the NFL approaching the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is, of course, an outreach to women in the midst of this ongoing issue? How do you anticipate that going?
I think certain sponsors and maybe people that aren't even officially an NFL sponsor will step up and use it to their advantage to speak more about what they do for women's rights or for women's issues. So I think you'll see a lot of companies coming from the woodwork to really speak out against it and talk about breast cancer as well.
And we did see the Commissioner, Roger Goodell, take a question about this exact sponsor at his press conference on Friday. He pretty much brushed it aside. Do you think that was the right move, Jeff?
No, and the next couple of months are going to be very interesting. So not only that affiliation, but then also to see what the sponsors do coming up for Super Bowl time. You know, are they going to be spending those same dollars advertising in their affiliation with the league that they were before? But I think Roger needs to do something that's a little bit more definitive. But he's playing it, you know, close to the vest. There's probably some legal ramifications too that we're not aware of.
Yeah, we're going to hear a little bit more about that during our TMZ segment today. But let's take a look at one more sponsor reaction to this. That's from Verizon Wireless. It's a little bit longer, but here's what they said. They said, "We are supportive of the NFL, and at this point, we are satisfied with the actions they've taken, and we're looking forward to working with them to address this issue. In fact, the NFL contacted us several weeks ago to assist them, and we are already working together to develop more programs that will raise awareness and, more importantly, help to change the behaviors that lead to the domestic violence." So they're really saying here, they say again, Verizon has long supported domestic violence prevention through its Hopeline program, and we plan to use our leadership position to continue the dialogue on this important issue, and we'll work with our partners at the NFL and others to be a voice for change, not just in the NFL, but in communities where we and our customers live and work. They're not just saying this is wrong, they're saying look what we're already doing to attack the issue. That they pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, and I think with Roger Goodell's press conference, he kept saying we're going to bring in the experts, we're going to bring people in who know what they're doing, and maybe Verizon is one of those partners.
Is this a good example of if Verizon maybe pulled in a crisis management type of consultant? Is this something that they would help them craft?
Well, I think that there's probably a lot of things that they could help them with. I'm not sure that the NFL obviously needs something in terms of crisis communication. They've done a bad job of PR from the beginning with the Ray Rice issue in particular. That Commissioner Goodell has only been in front of the media really this one time last Friday. He skirted the issue a couple of months ago at the Hall of Fame. So I think in terms of what the Verizon can bring, it sounds like it's their expertise and what they've been doing proactively in the community to deal with this. But I'm not sure crisis communication is something they're going to be able to help the NFL with.
And just to kind of sum everything up, do you think that enough pressure from sponsors can actually affect change within the league?
I hope so. I take a more optimistic view than I know some others do, but I hope so. I think that right now with social media and technology increasing every single day, people are putting more pressure on the companies that they buy things from to make sure that they're socially responsible, that they're taking the right side on social issues. So I like to think that it will help change. However, the NFL is a huge, huge brand. So it's easy for someone to say, I'm going to buy Under Armour instead of Nike. It's not so easy for someone to say, I'm never going to watch football again.
What about you, Jeff? What do you think?
Well, I agree with that. I think that you can see what social media did with the Ray Rice incident. When we saw the video, then the outcry became so loud that the NFL had to do something more than they'd already done. But at the end of the day, you're talking about the #1 show on television. Right. You're talking about the behemoth that is the NFL. And I hate to say it, but I don't think it's going to change people's viewing habits. It's entertainment, and that's why they love it.
All right. Well, thanks so much to each of you for coming on this Monday and bringing us behind the scenes of crisis management a little bit. Jeff and Jill from the SKM Group in the studio. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.